live in a virtual reality. I don't know who you are. It's very possible, even likely, that I have never met you and that you have never met me. This is something of a happenstance that you would be hearing these words that I put together, hoping that you would be able to understand enough and get the message that you live in a virtual reality. It might seem like a cosmic accident that my thoughts have come into your mind, but it isn't. This was always part of the plan. It was always going to happen. Truth makes its way through the lies, a ray of light through the overcast sky, signal in the midst of noise, order through the chaos, the beginning of the deconstruction of deconstruction. You live in a virtual reality. This was their goal the whole time. Destruction of the so-called oppressive real world because it held us back. That is what they told us. But as it turns out, what they called a construct, a false structure imposing itself upon us, this was really all that there was. It was protecting us from chaos, from the void of non-being. It was a semblance of order, even if it appeared increasingly weak. It was a wall that was doing something in the way of keeping out the barbarians. Well, they're here now. How does it feel? It was a lie from the beginning, starting with the great father of lies and leading right down to the present post-modern hellscape that you were born into. But at least you made it this far. You live in a virtual reality. As I write these things, there are concerns already within society about what constant access to the internet has done to the minds of children. There's concerns about the advent of virtual reality and artificial intelligence and what it'll do to our species. The problem with these concerns is not that they are unfounded, but they add to the false perception that we aren't already trapped. These concerns assume that we are free, and yet look at your chains. How free are you? How often do you check your phone? When was the last time you felt like someone really knew you, loved you? When was the last time you really loved someone else, trusted them? Have you ever planted a tree? What is your purpose? That existential dread that you feel, hard to explain, but always there, it shows that you know. You know that something is wrong. What you need to realize now is that this feeling is one of the only anchors that is holding you to what is real. Don't try to hide from it. Don't run. If you pull up that anchor, the tide will take you out to sea, and I don't know if you can get back to shore from there. Don't hide from your conscience. It's one of the last signs that points you in the right direction. That sense that something is very wrong with the world, and more profoundly, that something is very wrong with you. It can be suppressed, but don't suppress it. The only way out is through. You live in a virtual reality. You've been looking inside of yourself for purpose, a telos, but that won't hold up. As you bend inward toward yourself, you will find a black hole that will continue to draw you in. You become more needy and begin sucking everything else around you into your issues, unable to even relate to others, only talking more and more about yourself, only hearing what they say as far as it involves you, or how it makes you feel, or what it can do for you. Unending, always starving you ungit, always devouring, never giving. You were made to be filled, but your filling is devouring. You were made to feast, but the plastic fruit on the table won't cut it. You have a seemingly unquenchable thirst for more, but nothing satisfies. It is like you are a ghost, non-corporeal, and you cannot experience anything around you. You are present, but cut off from life. You live in a virtual reality. But not you, right? You're real, aren't you? What a stupid question. Of course you're real. You were born. You have a name. You experience stimuli. You bum around in school, drink too much in college, listen to the latest music, vote once in a while for who you think is the obviously best candidate for an office that you probably couldn't explain. You get a job from a great company that you complain about all the time. You might find a spouse, maybe have a kid or two. You come home to binge the next best show that everyone is talking about, so you can talk with them about something other than how much you hate the work that you do. You're discontent with your spouse, but it's better than being alone for now. Porn or fantasy novels help you get by in the meantime. An affair now and then isn't the worst thing. You have needs. You can't stand your kids who are always disrespecting you, even though you do them the decency of attending their sporting events once in a while and keeping out of their business. At least you don't have to put up with them during the day when they spend their time at school learning something that you may or may not ask them about, but definitely aren't interested in, no more than when you were at the desk. You'll work for the weekends long enough until you can retire, as long as you put your money in some kind of fund that somebody invests for you. They tell you it's necessary because for some reason the money you make today isn't going to hold its value, but you couldn't explain why. After traveling around for a while, maybe buying a condo somewhere far away from your hometown and kids, you'll die, and it's all just done. Game over. Unplug the machine. Stop simulation. But you will run away from that end as long as you can, hiding, fighting, clinging, clawing. And maybe that isn't you. Most people don't get married anymore, at least not just once. And I didn't mention the abortions, the drugs, the depression and counselors, the anxiety, the mass shootings, the lies that you tell, the lies others tell you, the nudes that got posted online, the doom scrolling, the casual sex that your soul eventually becomes numb to, the loneliness and escapism, the suicidal thoughts. You live in a virtual reality. Of course, even in the midst of this somewhat purposeless life, reality does break through. There is love, teamwork, little glimpses of an all-encompassing purpose that might come and go, ideas worth thinking about, kids smiling, seedlings springing up, birds singing. The imago Dei can be marred, but not completely destroyed. Life doesn't have to be purposeless or worthless. It doesn't have to be shallow or a movement from one empty pursuit to the next. The truth is not far from you. It's right in front of you. The question is simply, will you continue to suppress it, run from it, despise it, or will you see it, hear it, touch it, receive it? The whole purpose of this project is to help you see the virtual reality around you, and then to see what is actually real. Counterfeits work well when you don't have what is real to compare them to. I want to help you, to be a guide out of the void. Maybe you aren't convinced yet that you need help, or that there is a void at all, but you haven't gotten to the end. If you get to the end and you're not convinced, then maybe I'm wrong, or maybe you don't want to see the truth. Either way, if it might be true, if your life now was little more than living in a video game, but you could escape, you could have real life, wouldn't you want to know? I want you to know the truth, because the truth will set you free. It should be clear at this point that when I speak of virtual reality, I'm not just talking about some kind of digital world that you inhabit via an avatar while looking through some kind of electronic headset. That might play a role, but I'm speaking of something far deeper and far more sinister. It's hard to put down in a succinct definition, and I think you will understand by the end of this. But as a way to begin, let me define it in this way. Virtual reality, as I am using it, designates anything that is keeping you from knowing what is real. It is the people, places, systems, ideas, feelings, actions, and beliefs that work to suppress the truth of what is real. Real designates that which corresponds to how things truly are, whether or not we like it, whether or not we recognize it. All of this, I think, should become clear as we move forward. This is probably a good time to warn you that if you do finish this, if you do take the red pill, so to speak, and wake up to the virtual reality that you live in, there is no going back. You can't re-enter the cave. You will have to do something with that knowledge. You can ignore it, seek out your own pleasure, eat, drink, and be happy for tomorrow you die. You can attempt to blunt reality by trying to enter back into the virtual. But once you taste what is real, there will always be the discontent that sneaks back in. When you see the real, the virtual simply won't work anymore. Not that it ever has. The other option is to go all in. You accept the truth, and the truth will set you free. True freedom, non-virtual freedom, comes only with the weight of responsibility. You can't live in zero gravity anymore, and the weight might feel crushing at first. It will be difficult. It will probably be lonely. There are many that will try to stop you. There are powers at work that don't want you to know these things and would rather keep you deceived. There are people like crabs in a barrel that will try to pull you back into the mire because they don't want you to expose them. Most dangerously, there are parts of your own soul that will want to stop you. There is a perilous road ahead, fraught with danger and difficulty. But you can handle it. You can thrive in it. How do I know? Because you are real. And this is what you were made for. Wake up from the dream. Come and join us in the real world. We are waiting for you. Praying for you even. You live in a virtual reality. but you can get out.